So what are the gifts that God has uniquely given to you? The way that He has wired you in such a way that you are good at certain things and maybe not quite so good at others. If you wonder, what are those things that God has built into you? Let me ask you a few questions to help identify those strengths. Is there something that I'm good at and I'm continuing to get better at? Do I have something? Is there something that I do that produces good results in the lives of others? Is there something that I enjoy doing or something that makes me feel strong when I'm doing it? In other words, does it energize me? As we ask ourselves those questions, perhaps there's already some ideas that are coming to mind of things that are actually strengths for you. I'd encourage you not to just take the first things that come to mind, but actually to take some time to reflect on this question. Over the course of the next few weeks, as we wrap up the Rhythms of Discipleship, I'd love for you to actually carry around a little list or make a little note on your phone where when you are in the midst of doing something and you find yourself really enjoying it, really feeling strong while you're doing it, really feeling energized, recognizing that this is something that you are good at and continuing to get good at, or something that really blesses the lives of other people in a big way. Take time to write those things down, to jot those down, and take some time to jot down those things that feel like they're weaknesses, things that make you feel drained afterwards, things that feel like you put a fair amount of effort into but just don't see a whole lot of result. Make a note of those things. And after a few weeks, go back and consider that list. We can't ignore our weaknesses, obviously. We can develop them to a level of proficiency, though. And then once they're at a level of proficiency where they're not going to hinder our strengths, we can really focus in on those gifts that God has given to us, building up those strengths to be able to use them for the maximum impact, for doing the most with the gifts that God has given to us. When it comes to our weaknesses, can we let good enough be good enough so that we can really focus on the strengths, the gifts that God has given to us? And then once we've identified those strengths, I want to encourage you to develop them. Read a book, listen to a podcast, get some coaching, do something that's going to help you take them to the next level. And as you work on developing those, pay attention to what is that place that God has placed in my life where maybe those gifts can be put to good use. Remember, service is looking at what we have and what our neighbors need. And the place where those things intersect is where service happens. As you consider, as you develop, as you work on these gifts that God has given to you, as you see how those things might be a blessing to others, you're going to be better able to identify what are the areas in your community where you might be able to step in, where you might be able to actually help in a bigger way with someone else. And it doesn't happen just in our community. It can happen in our families. It can happen in our workplace. Take a moment and consider then. Once your strengths are identified, or if you already have in mind maybe one or two that have come to mind, what are some places where you might be able to serve a little bit more, where your gifts that God has given to you might be a blessing to others? Take a moment to jot those things down.